This is part 3 of the radio series. Alright, we have finally arrived at the top 3 most expensive items on my budget list. The third place goes to rental expenses. TLDR, I will be renewing my tenancy agreement in May. And as we all know, rental prices have gone up everywhere in Singapore. For the first 4 months, I have to pay $700 per month to my landlady. From May onwards, however, I will have to pay $975 per month. Using the same weighted average calculation as before, $700 multiplied by 4 plus $975 multiplied by 8 and then divide this sum by 12, we will get $883.33 per month. This accounts for 14.77% of my monthly expenses. Again, the average value works wonder as long as I exercise my budget to these average amounts. The rental expense is definitely fixed, of course, after several negotiations with the landlady. The second most expensive item on the list is my education fee. I started my part-time master's degree in January of this year, and unfortunately, there are no scholarships available for part-time programs. As a result, I have to pay for my own education, which amounts to a total of $14,319.90, including GST, for the entire course. I have to settle the payment this year, so I will need to pay $1,193.33 per month, or 19.96% of my monthly expenses towards my education fee. Number 1 on the list is, of course, investment. Since I'm single and don't really spend money on social activities like going out with friends or eating at fancy restaurants, I have invested most of my money into stocks and ETFs. Last year, I invested $1,800 out of my total salary into the stock market, and my salary was lower than this year. However, this year, I only invested $1,600 out of my total salary to stock market, which accounts for 26.76% of my monthly expenses. This is because I have to save a little bit to pay for my master's degree. Anyway, I generally split my investment into a few parts. First, I allocate a few $100s to dollar cost average into ETFs like the S&P 500. I also put in some of my money into the money market fund, which is why my bank savings are significantly lower because most of my money went into the money market fund. The remaining money will either go towards buying individual stocks or selling options. Some may consider this risky, but I'm willing to take the risk since I'm still young and this is all my spare money which I don't intend to touch in the foreseeable future. I will talk more about how I allocate my funds for investment in future videos. Additionally, I started buying precious metals like gold and silver this year. This is because I believe that gold is a hedge against inflation and stores the value of my money. Hence, most of my emergency funds were allocated into gold and silver, as mentioned earlier. As mentioned before, my total monthly gross income is $5,021. Adding in the bonus of $11,500 and dividing it by 12, the total monthly income will be approximately $5,979. If I include my saving rate in my analysis, that will be adding up the bank saving, CPF, and investment amounts and divide them by my total monthly income. I have a staggering saving rate of 38.93%. If I exclude the CPF portion, since some of you may not consider it as future savings, my saving rate would still be high at 27.6%. This is much higher than the typical assigned 50-30-20 rule of monthly saving. Now, let's return to the F&B, grocery, and other category. We have around $344.83 per month for F&B, grocery, and other expenses, which accounts for about 5.77% of my monthly expenses. If I divide this number by 30 days, it means that as long as I spend less than $11.50 per day on meals, I will be within my budget. Is that even possible? Yes. There are times where I spend less than $10 on my daily meals. We will discuss this further in the review of this video. And there you have it guys, the detailed breakdown of my monthly budget for 2023. Will it work out in the end? It's possible. Is it hard to hit the target? Maybe. There are a few key points to keep in mind when it comes to sticking to a budget. First, set a financial goal with a specific time frame. For example, I aim to achieve a net worth of $100,000 by the age of 30. You don't have to follow my example, but you get my point. Set a goal that you promise to achieve by the end of that time frame. And that leads me to my second point, which is discipline. You need to be honest with yourself and have integrity. For example, I have been following a strict rule ever since I started working. Perhaps different year will have different circumstances and I may need to adjust my budget plan accordingly. But if I want to achieve my financial goal by the age of 30, then I have to be really disciplined with my finances. I recently came across a documentary that talks about how millennials spend their money and end up in debt. Let's have a look.
How are young adults grappling with the rising cost of living? The Institute of Policy Studies and Talking Point conducted a survey late last year.
We polled over 850 Singaporeans aged between 21 and 29 to find out how they are managing their finances. For the purpose of this show, we'll term them millennials.
Most respondents, 9 in 10, say they are personally affected by rising costs. 3 in 10 say they spend more than they earn.
I worry about money constantly.
I strongly recommend that everyone watch the full documentary on YouTube. The side of millennials who don't take their financial planning seriously and spend all their money until they are in debt is quite sad. Therefore, I cannot emphasize enough the importance of setting a financial target, whether it's becoming debt-free by the age of 28 or buying a house, and then being disciplined with your finances so that you stick to your plan. The link to the full documentary is in the description down below. And that's all for today. Thank you so much for sticking with me until the very end. As this is my first ever video, I would greatly appreciate it if you could like, share and subscribe the video. Please also leave a comment down below to share with me your financial goals and budget plan in 2023. Thank you once again and I will see you in my next video.